Now we're looking at factoring difference of two squares. Remember from our special products in polynomials, we had the binomial a plus b times binomial a minus b is equal to a squared minus b squared, and that's a rule that we should remember. So if we do the opposite, remember we're factoring and not multiplying. Now we're factoring. If we're given a problem that looks like a squared minus b squared, to factor that, we will go back to our original binomials a plus b times a minus b. So let's look at this first example here. I have 25x squared minus 36. So essentially, we need to set the two sets of brackets. We have a plus sign in one and a minus sign in one. What fills out the positions for a and b in the first binomial will be the same for the second binomial. How do we find those terms? We simply take the square root of the first term to find our first term in our binomial, or a, and we square root the second one to find the second term, which would be b. So the square root of 25x squared, the square root of 25 would be 5. Square root of x squared is x. Okay? Square root of 36 is 6. So what does square root mean? We have to have a perfect square in order for these examples to work. So 36 is a perfect square, meaning 36 is 6 times 6. Perfect square, a number multiplied by itself gives us this 36, right? So it has to be a number that can be multiplied by itself. So I already have 6 there. So again, we just fill in the first term and the second term, 5x and 6. Let's look at another example. Again, we set up two sets of brackets. We identify first that we have two perfect squares. The difference of two squares. Difference because we're subtracting. Y squared is a perfect square because y times y gives us y squared. 64 is a perfect square because 8 times 8 gives us 64. So we get y plus 8 in our first binomial, y minus 8 in our second binomial. Okay? Here, we identify first, we make sure that we have perfect squares. It's the difference of two squares. Remember, it's subtracting difference. 16 is a perfect square, yes. 4 times 4 gives me 16. X squared is a perfect square. 9 is a perfect square. 3 times 3 gives me 9. And y squared is a perfect square. So I set up my two sets of brackets. Square root of 16x squared, 4x. 4x times 4x will give me 16x squared. So I write 4x as my first term in each binomial. I put a plus sign in the first binomial and a minus sign in the second binomial. Now what is the square root of 9